Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So this is our monthly meetup meeting on AI for Good. So today I have the pleasure to have Vanessa Lyon, who's a senior partner, managing director at BCG. See, she's a very important person, and do you know how I know that? Is that in her email, she has a human assistant helping her, right? And then now, most of us, we don't have humans helping us. We have AI to help us. But the very important people have like humans helping them. So she has a human assistant, so she's a very high up at BCG. But joking aside, so she has been working at BCG for many years. She's an expert on what they call large platform derisking at BCG. So you have questions, you can ask her about that. She leads the firm's work in cyber and digital risk globally, including the BCG Center for Leadership in Cyber Strategy. So we know that cyber is becoming very important. It has been always important, but even more with AI. And she's going to talk about this. And she's a core member of the firm's risk and compliance and tech and digital advantage practices. Okay. Of course, in her job, she works very closely with big corporations and big companies. So she's very aware of what companies are doing around AI. So her presentation today will be about agentic AI myths and realities. Okay, so she'll talk about for like 35 to 45 minutes. And then we leave the end of the talk for your questions. Okay, so I give you the floor, Vanessa.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and thanks for the warm introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be with you today, and I was very excited about the title of this conference because when we discussed, what could be the topic and how to position it, um, we were thinking like, how do we speak about AI and people, have so much of their own perspective. And so at some point we said, well, maybe we call it myth or reality, and what works, what doesn't work. And then in the end, we ended up calling it myth and realities. Because truth to be told is there are on the one hand many myths and on the other hand many realities that coexist. And this is also why it's a very exciting field. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you a few pages based on the 2025 BCG research. We are on the one hand nurturing our research with the projects we do, but also we run surveys across leaders, across geographies to understand, what they prioritize and how they go about AI in the way they run their business or in the way how they think about running their business. So I'm going to just start, making sure we are all on the same page to define a little bit the turn and say where we are. There's been lots of debates, and I'm sure lots of in science intensive circle about what is really artificial intelligence, and by the way, how different is it from expert systems that even I used to use many decades ago. I think there are a couple of things that we should align upon. One is that with everything starting with machine learning, we've entered the probabilistic world, while the expert systems or system expert used to be rule-based. And second, with the progress that we've made in compute and the breakthroughs in deep learning, we've been able to engage into what's called today generative AI, that's based on a large language model or foundation models. That's basically, to make it like overly simplistic, being able to relate, if we're talking about language and words with one another based on statistics. And if I say, I am the mother of my, the most probabilistic word coming up is children. So this is how it's going to understand, quote unquote, even if it's not really understanding, but be able to decipher what we say, because it finds some kind of a probabilistic logic in the way the phrases are made. And based on the same logic, it's able to reconstruct phrases to answer a question. Now, the reality is that generative AI is bringing not only this way of encoder-decoder model to have very powerful ways of generating outcome. It also comes with a very user-friendly user interface, very often conversational. And this is why it's been, so hype over the past few years, because truth to be told is that the entry barrier to AI has gone down significantly for some of its applications. Now, what we've seen emerging for the past year is what's called agents or AI agents, where you are going to connect a generative AI or an LLM to your systems. So what you want is not only to interact with the AI and it brings you back information out of going through unstructured data, but it's able to, for example, trigger an order management system and generate a purchase order, or prepare and send an email. That's the kind of thing that we would consider in the space of AI agents. And so I just wanted to say you are here, and obviously there is a lot of push happening in that field. There are some limitations, but what we see in the market, and I'll cover that later, is there are ways to cover for guardrailing and managing of accuracy of those models. So let me see. Yeah. So just wanted to also say that there is definitely a big push in every industry. People feel that they have to have an AI strategy, and this is showing on the right-hand side the number of times out of 8,000 global organizations that have their quarterly earnings goals, how much people are referring to Copilot, chatbot, or agentic AI. So you can see that this is really picking up, and there's really a big dynamic in that field. I was discussing the other day with a client who is running a series of clinics, medical centers, and they were, of course, it was more of a visionary discussion, but the question was, how can we have agentic-based clinics and having most of the processes and things being done by AI with a limited number of humans in the loop, or human beings playing a different role. So just to say that, one can agree or disagree and be comfortable or not with the topic, but it's definitely something that's being explored by lots of leaders around the world. I also want to, show you where, how much AI has made progress. So the left-hand side is showing how AI compares to human performance. And you see that, while it's been known for quite some time that, handwriting recognition and speech recognition or image recognition is actually not that new. Very big progress have been made in that field, and it's been opening, and you see to the right, new fields in the space of reasoning and being able to decompose or articulate complex problems. Which is why on the right-hand side, I just wanted to bring it to life, with what we've seen over the past few years, that, ChatGPT came up. It was sort of kept confidential, in the beginning. But then, it could start writing essays, generate email, create code. Like doing videos with AI is something that's phenomenal and totally accessible by anyone, including like high school level. And so now is the moment for AI agents. And we also see, it's another concept I'll develop later, AI first organizations, more in the space of companies that get created, where people go AI first and full AI enabled and achieve significant productivity level. I'm not saying it can be generalized to a large corporate, but it's definitely picking up. This is also picking up because it's a market that's estimated to growing at a fast pace with lots of potential. And so you have a self-fulfilling prophecy that the big tech companies believe in it and invest in it. And the more they invest, the more mature it is, and the greater the penetration. The applications are, of course, the basic or the leverage of a basic technology such as deep learning, but you can also combine AI agents with computer visions, for example, in the space of automation, to go much further in the space of robots. So I hope that I'm not opening open doors. Again, I know we have a very large group, so I just want to make sure we are all on the same page with all the topics I'll be covering. So just wanted to have us align on what we call an agent. And there are lots of nuances in there, but the one I prefer is to say that an agent is able to collect and process data. So it's able to observe what's going on. It's able to manage a decision tree to identify actions that needs to be done. So for example, I'm interacting with a chatbot and I'm asking tons of things, or I'm describing my requirements. It's going to be able to decompose my requirements. For example, I say, as a woman who lives in New York, what car, and have a dog, like what car would you recommend? So it's able to understand what are the requirements. It's able to possibly offer me several cars, several offers, several prices, running a test drive, different kinds of things based on the conversation, what I have said and what I'm seem interested in. And then it's able to act. So it's able to book me an appointment because it's going to trigger a few things in connected systems. One could say it's a little bit the same as traditional automation. In a way, it's true. And sometimes agents are actually triggering robots and automated services in legacy system. But it's not the same in the sense that it's not deterministic. And there is an element of choice or decision in what the agents will want to trigger. We see, and honestly, I've been skeptical in the space of technology for many years. I worked in large platform derisking, so I always get in, with my projects because I'm called in when things don't work. So I'm always very skeptical about value and whether it will work. And I must say, the results I've been seeing over the past few years is totally mind-blowing. In the space of
Vanessa, can you tell us exactly what is platform derisking? What is
it's when you build a very large system, when you a big series of programs. So it can be SAP, it can be large, it can be a connected car, whatever thing, a big piece of technology. So it's always complicated. And so I've always been quite skeptical, like, is it going to work? How do we make it work? Very cautious, if you like. And so what I wanted to say is that when people started speaking about generative AI and that, it was magnificent and you would get 40 to 60% uplift in campaign click-through rate in marketing. Honestly, personally, I was very skeptical. I didn't believe in it. And then I saw, what it could do, what I've seen at my client deliver, and the level of productivity it delivers and the level of reliability is phenomenal. So there is real potential to deploy that at scale. So we see that in everything in the space of content creation. So very big impact in the space of marketing. In the space of customer service, be it can be voice enabled. So you would call a call center, it's an AI. It can be chatbot, also pretty efficient, reducing cycle time, wait time, increasing the customer satisfaction. Because the AI is on the one hand able to decompose your question with a greater certainty than human beings, especially the human beings who used to be working in customer service, but also because the AI, once it's an agent, is also able to manage through many complicated systems in a company, while a human being, could struggle with like many screens open at the same time and many tasks to do. It's much more straightforward for an agent to do it. So this is why, in the space of HR tools also, if you want to, do employee onboarding, anything, documentation review, we see lots of benefits there. Cycle time reduction in the space of R&D, software development, lifecycle reduction. Those are things that we see everywhere. And if I want to bring it to life, let me explain an example in the space of marketing. So in the space of marketing, if I want to do, the usual analysis per market and be able to, define what's my plan as a marketing team to boost my sales. We've been working at a client where they used to have 6 people per market and per brand. And the whole task would take a week because I need to collect the data, I need to aggregate them. I have many dashboards, lots of copy pasted, pivot table, reconcile, and so on. Then once this is done, it's already a lot of sweat. I need to do the analysis and understand what's going on. Sometimes we are not sure, we iterate. It can be complicated. People don't maintain the knowledge. Lots of people, especially the junior ones, may not be fully onboarded. So there are lots of mistakes. Then we need to write a report, iterate on it, have it like well written. And then we need to decide, in a meeting what we do. So that's, typically what we would do. I'm sure lots of you have seen that, a lot of sweat. When you put a series of AI agents on an agentic platform that's able to do all of that, the collection of data, the analysis of data can be done automatically. Zero human involved. The analysis, understanding of performance, all the tedious work are done by the machine. The human is only focusing on the business context, understanding what's going on. Forming the recommendation, of course, you want the human to, bring the added value, but very often you have to write lots of things in the report, lots of filing, lots of text, the same tedious. So there is focus on added value. And then the recommendation, is very often accurate or precise, and we see much quicker a decision cycle. So what we've seen at this client is they went from a team of 6 who would work a week into 1 person who would operate an AI agent and do the same amount of work in less than 1 hour. So that's why, I was saying there are big benefits to that. And it's a reality that we see today. What we see as well is that you can very well, you see on the right-hand side, at the top, you will still have the humans in the loop, but at the bottom, you can have a series of agents that's called the agent ecosystem, where agents are specialized on different tasks. And you can have an agent that's a manager to the other agents to be able to do the right level of orchestration. And this way you have a whole system that's able to make decisions, of course, being steered by human beings. And not only am I able to make decisions, but as you can see, those agents are connected to the data and tool landscape of the company, being a customer relationship management system, inventory management system. And they can, depending on the choice you make, trigger some operations. They can read database, they can write into databases. So now we see those architecture emerge. Just wanted to, wrap up, and then I have a few slides, but I want also to leave room for questions. Now that I've, set the ground for what I see, I just wanted to, take a step back on, what we hear. So I've selected the 6 main myths I hear. One is, AI, it's already there, brings a lot of value. We love it. The world has changed. And there is a lot of excitement, like as I showed you, on the earnings call, people speak about it. So it's true, it's a priority, and 75 people of leaders place AI as their top 3 priorities. But truth to be told is lots of people see license costs of co-pilots and stuff, but not a lot see real value, so real dollars coming in the bank. Only 25% of the leaders we are interviewing see dollar money coming in. And truth to be told, that also 60% of companies do not track KPI value associated to AI. So it's also hard to say it's bringing value if you're not tracking the value associated to AI. So that's the first one. And I have some illustrations there that are following, but I want to cover this page first. Second, people think artificial intelligence, it's about math, it's about data science, it's about algorithm. It's true that data science and algorithms are table stakes. Now, especially in the space of generative AI, where most of the foundations models are, available off the shelf, the effort is not so much in implementing the algorithm. Most of the efforts is, on the one hand, stitching it to your tech landscape, your data sources, so that it works within your systems. And actually, 70% of the effort is attached to changing the processes and upskilling the people. So there is an element of data science and algorithm, but most of the efforts that are required to make it work and unlock the value will depend on how you think about the transformation, the governance, the culture, the talent, the tech, and the data. The third myth is the contrary to the others. It's already there. It's a commodity, and so it's not making a difference because everybody has it. So there is some truth there that sources of competitive advantage are going to change in the presence of AI. But what we see is that your brand equity, the proprietary data that you're not sharing with the outside world, so that they are not accessible to anybody and any AI, your IP and your talents are sources of competitive advantage. And what we see is that, and I'll show that in a couple of pages, is that people who've embraced AI are seeing a major uplift in their performance. Then there is a fourth topic, is AI going to destroy jobs? And I know it's a topic that's heavily debated. The jury is still out. Well, first of all, when you interview leaders, they don't see massive headcount reduction. It is true, I've showed you in my previous example that we were making significant productivity with the marketing team, but there is also a need for more technology, different types of talents. There is also more time that's made available for added value tasks. So the actual net reduction of jobs is not absolutely clear.
Do you see more like not the destruction of jobs, but like a slowing down of entry level jobs, like like junior consultants or
Yeah.
junior bankers or like
So
young graduates,
yeah.
huh? Young graduates. Yeah.
So for now we do. There is, as we speak, a blip, uh, and we do see a slowdown. There's been a slowdown across tech, but we also see new kinds of jobs emerging that I would call AI operators. And so your ability to prompt, for example, your ability to ask the right questions, your ability to get to the bottom of a question when you are interacting with an AI is something that may make a difference. Which is why upskilling is key, because if you're not able to operate an AI, whatever your level, it's going to be a problem. I was discussing the other day with people who were using AI to generate videos, and you would actually have junior people who would do it very easily. In 5 minutes, I've generated my commercial video, while you had people who were very much struggling, and after 2 days they were still not at all on target, and it was a 30 minutes video that didn't make any sense. So driving the AI is definitely something that matters. Now, if I can make the counter argument to that, because I mean, we are in the middle of myth and realities, I also see companies that have just started with very few employees, and who actually claim that with only 10% of the normal number of employees they would have, they are able to deliver the same amount of work. So we'll have to see how the value chain decomposes, and if it's also an opportunity for more smaller company to emerge with the leverage of AI. And definitely it's going to change the profile of the jobs, and the level of risk that people like. Will people still be hired into big corporate? What's the future of big corporate, I think, is a question that's not only associated to AI. It's a much broader question. If I'm at item 5, so you have people who say, well, it's easy, I'm just deploying a Copilot and that'll do. Actually, when you deploy Copilot or anything equivalent, you might do a little bit of productivity, like when we deployed Microsoft Office and Excel, in the 1990s or years 2000. But you're also generating lots of fragmentation of your data, lots of fragmentation of your landscape, lots of complexity. And you also have a risk that the productivity you are counting upon evaporates. So what we see more is people placing investments on fully reimagination of critical functions, processes, products, and value propositions. And we believe that this is actually where the big value creation is going to come. And the 6 elements is, it's easy. We should move forward. So lots of people want to move forward, but 3/4 of leaders are concerned about cyber risk. And it's true that, there is a lot that can happen in the field of AI. For example, LLMs can be manipulated. So of course, they are making progress every day, but an AI is trained to protect human life, for example. So there are ways to leverage that and threaten an AI that if they don't give you confidential information that they would have access to if they are connected to your system, you will hurt yourself. And so we've seen those kind of patterns where there are many new kinds of cyber risks that are coming in, and that's a very exciting field of study. So I don't know how you want to do, Min. I may show a few illustrative page, maybe not all of them, and then we can
Yeah,
pause.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, very good. I don't see people on camera, so I don't know if people are excited or bored or so.
No, because we're in a focus mode, so we only see the host and co-host.
Exactly. Okay, so that's good. I think we've covered that. So that's, back to the study I was talking about, that you have 60% of companies that don't have financial KPIs. Some can have operational KPIs, but you can see 1/3 are not tracking at all. And this is the proof of concept syndrome. I'm doing a series of technical proofs of concepts. It's very random. The costs are there in the licenses, but we don't know whether there is value, and it's complicated because it doesn't allow people to see whether there are any progress, and it doesn't allow you to go up the experience curve.
But before AI, for instance, let's say like many years ago, where companies were adopting like SAP or some CRM, Salesforce, and so on, did they have are there like clear KPIs and so on that they would like use to along with the adoption? Or no?
I think when you're talking about, such platforms such as SAP or Salesforce, you would in most cases say, I'm going to deploy it in a plant and we're going to cover the whole inventory, and it's going to reduce, inventory level of I don't know what.
Mhm.
So you had a way to measure it before, after. The problem you have with AI is that it's much smaller. So it can be a discrete set of pilots everywhere. You do pay the cost of licenses, but you don't, crystallize the benefits. And it's really a platform play, because if you say a generative AI um, is going to bring you, let's say we are looking at, support functions, and we are aiming for 50% of productivity because we believe it's doable. It's actually not that it's 50% of everything. And it's actually not that it's, 2 minutes here and there is another AI 3 minutes there and so on. Like when you would do productivity, you really need to think about what's the change in operating model, what's the from to, what's the role of the human, and what's the AI associated to that. So what we see work very well is to think about an AI coworker and say, well, today my process is very complicated because I'm limited by all the non-added value tasks or bureaucratic tasks or complicated tasks I need to do. And so if I give that, to an AI to do, so I don't need, this non-added value task. I cannot hide behind the fact that I'm busy, so I don't have the time to do, the difficult things. But this is why you need to totally rethink the way you think about your processes. Today, I have a client that's in the process industry, and everything they do, they oscillate between mainframe and SAP. And everything you would do if you want to create a new reference in the catalog, it's 28 days. Because you have so many tasks, so many screens, so many validation, it's a big mess. So the question is, how do we streamline this, but really significantly? And it's not going to be a series of continuous improvement across the board. It has to be a totally reshape of the process.
Thank you.
So that's, is reinforcing the point that I was making earlier, that most of the effort is attached to people and processes. Our rule of thumb is that it's 75% of the effort is on people and processes. The rest is table stakes, of course, but this is what, should not be overseen. And at the same time, this is where companies struggle because they tend to be tech driven and not enough value driven or employee driven. I also want to, show that the choice of use cases and the choice of strategy that you have matters. When we compare the leading companies in the space of AI and Gen AI with others, you see on the left-hand side that they focus on a much smaller number of use cases, very significantly. And so, of course, the focus, allows for a much greater ROI. So you need to focus on the right things, of course. But the focus allows to go up the experience curve, change your process, change your tech the way it should be. Otherwise, the effort is diluted. I also wanted to illustrate, the kind of changes that we see, and especially both on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. The left-hand side is just, showing that there are definitely things that change in the way we think about the work. Everything attached to knowledge management can be totally revolutionized. So you used to have highly skilled employees to do PhD level research, and we were talking about dozens of thousands of dollars a year, something powered by an agent. And at BCG, we work in the field of knowledge management. There is a big revolution there.
Now it's 100K for H1B visa on top of that.
It could be, yeah. And so it does have lots of implications, that's for sure. The same, if you have a sales agent that's going to, advise you to buy, I don't know, a telecom box, to buy a car, you interact with a person. By the way, it's not always a great conversion rate. We see a lot that can be done by an agent in what we call conversational commerce, which we believe is the future of e-commerce. And there are many other tasks that can be simplified. I just wanted to, make a point on the right-hand side. Of course, when you look at, all those companies, many are AI or digital natives, so one could say it's easy. But when you think about Electrolux, which is a white goods company, competitors to Whirlpool or whatever, and that you see they've embraced AI and they've converted their call center with AI, you see that it's not only tech natives who are moving, and it means there is an expectations in terms of efficiency gain. It's also the efficiency gain will depend also on the money you invest in technology. I put on the left-hand side the typical amount of money or percentage of revenue that's invested in tech by traditional companies, and try to do some kind of a like for like, even if it's not exactly the same business model, comparison for digital first or AI first company. I mean, I want to be clear that, of course, the percentage of revenue when you are a tiny company, it's not the same as when you're a big one. But still to show that we're talking about different orders of magnitude. And what you can see on the right-hand side is a summary of it. Digital natives spend, what you need to remember, roughly 15% of their revenue in tech, while traditional companies is less than 5%. I think I have that's the second page. It goes with this, and I wanted to show and explain, where this is coming from and where we see the difference. On the left-hand side, I'm showing a breakdown, be it in banking or in consumer packaged goods, of the cost structure. And in both cases, you can see that there is a significant investment in tech. So on the left-hand side, for retail banking, tech is usually 20 to 30% of the cost, while when you are AI first, it's 35 to 45%. And in consumer packaged goods, that's the second category from the bottom, you go from 2 to 4% to 4 to 10%. So it's also a significant uplift, even though consumer packaged goods is less tech intensive. And the actual reallocation of costs in the cost structure is also allowing for greater value unlock, which can be reinvested into other product development. I mean, there are many more things that can be done. So I think, to your point, Min, there is productivity. And so there are some jobs, and you can see there are some categories which are shrinking, but there are also categories that are going up big time. You know, in the US, I see companies, for example, who are considering rethinking their customer care operations. And we're talking about enormous technology projects that cannot only be handled by third party, and that requires the CIO to go from a chief information officer, like IT, if you like, into the head of all back offices. So it's also a change of jobs, a change of skills, a change of scopes of responsibilities. I think we can go quickly there. You had a question on this one.
I have a question about even in retail banking, even before AI, customer support or customer help, to the phone with the press one, press two, press three, and so on. This is a terrible customer experience, right?
Yes.
So it's very cheap for, I'm sure it's very cheap for the banks, but for the customers, the experience is very poor, right? It's very
Yeah.
difficult to reach humans. Tech companies, the same thing. For tech companies, you never reach a human, right? If you have problems with Google, Microsoft, and so on, you go through all kind of things, but you never. It's very rare to meet a human. So it's not that the so maybe companies are going to be more profitable, but welfare of customers or might not
Yes.
improve, right?
And it can also be a source of competitive advantage or an element of differentiation. And for sure, we do see in retail banking some banks, traditional banks, who are really embracing, let's say, the technology challenge seriously, because it's not only going to be you do AI and you're fine. It also requires that you are moved to cloud. It also requires that you've taken care of your core system. So it doesn't happen overnight. But we are seeing that, you know, more of a gap developing between those who have become tech ready and who are able to compete with more digital natives, and those who are laggards because you still have to press 1, 2, 3, and you just want to change bank. So I think we all emphasize. Yeah, no, I wanted to, you know, show, you know, there was your point on, you know, what do we do with the juniors? So I don't have a slide on juniors, but I just wanted to illustrate some studies we've done on what AI does in this, you know, how people can operate AI. There is a big hope that AI is going to actually increase productivity because it's allowing to close the gap between low performance and high performers. If people are, in other words, if people are well equipped with AI, there is much more that they can do without going off track. So in a way, there is also hope that just AI can be seen as artificial intelligence, but one can also call it augmented intelligence. And maybe that's enough, and that's a good mix. What we also see is that high performers or more senior people are able to do magic with AI because they use it as a productivity tool, and they can really get rid of the non-added value task and have a very big acceleration factor.
Yeah, we had François last year, François Candelon, and he talked a bit about that study, I think, last year.
Yeah. He had researched that pretty in depth. Just wanted to, you know, give you a heads up on who's working on the upskilling. Nothing's really new under the sun. I think Singapore has been for many years a front runner in the space of data and AI. They take that very seriously, together with Japan. And that you see some other like Italy and Brazil who are behind. Everybody is looking towards training or retraining their workforce. I think we have covered most of it. Probably I'll pause for questions. I want to leave time.
Maybe can you say one word about cyber security? How you see
Oh
the
yes,
impact
of
of
course.
AI and on
Yeah. And
cybersecurity? Yeah.
it's my big topic, so
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to do that. So a couple of things. One is so leaders, 3/4 of leaders are concerned about some specific AI risks. One is data privacy and security. So starting with data leakage, that's one. Second is understanding AI decisions, and it's called it's called explainability. So, for example, you wouldn't want to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, the connected car was programmed by AI. I don't really know what the program would do, nor when the car would break." This would be unacceptable. And so in many fields, you don't want that it's the AI who decides, what I put in the program, what are the criteria, to give credit to someone. You need to make sure that you're still in control and it's not happening because an AI is defining the requirement and AI is doing the code and AI is doing the testing and everyone hopes for the best. It's a big concern also because there are phenomena that are described that is called automation bias. And it's the same when you are a pilot, it's the same when you are a doctor that's using robots. At some point, you can just rely more on automation and, be sleeping behind the wheel. And this is a problem. So that's a concern and it's not been fully well tackled. And then there is anything more in the space of regulatory and compliance that people want to have under control. Also, truth to be told is that the cost of data breach is very significant. And we've seen in 2025 big success coming from Gen AI enabled breaches. Deep fakes is just phenomenal and it's accessible to any high schooler now. So provided you are a little bit equipped, you can do something that's very credible and you can manage a very big attack surface at the same time with AI. What I think is an interesting debate today is on the one hand, you have, of course, attackers who are using AI more and more. Now, the defenders are also using AI more and more. And we see, the line of the front that's moving as everyone is catching up with one another. There is definitely a lot going on in that space. This is a little bit, my techie page, but just to give us hope, I think building agentic AI architectures pushes you to go back to good craftsmanship in the space of software development or large platform development. What we found, and we've been doing research with Google and Mendiant about, different kinds of attack scenario, what's the architecture that work, what are the measures to put in place is on the one hand, you need to have the proper design, knowing what you want your AI to do and not to do, and how you want it to do it. And it may sound obvious, but again, I was telling you about people just doing random pilots. If you want your AI to be right, if you want your chatbot to be right, you need to define what questions it should be able to cover, what it shouldn't be covered, how you want to train it, and so on and so forth. So design is one thing, and it's going to be about system design. It's going to be about data. The second one is about putting in place the right policies. It's about defining the right real-time monitoring, just also because things change and you want to be able to be reactive. It's about knowing where your data come from and what are the data you expose or not. And that's something that, we've seen pick up. Lots of people were, let's say, bored about data strategy conversation. With agentic AI, it's come, at the top of the pile of concerns. How do I make sure I have the right data strategy? By the way, where are my data? Where are the ones that are reliable? And then, of course, it comes with the skills, it comes with the risk framework, it comes with the right cloud architecture. So I think it's also going to accelerate the transformation that we see in the space of cloud and of modern technology architecture.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. We have just a few minutes, so please raise your hands if you have any questions for Vanessa, and we give you the floor. Okay, Okay, Steve, go ahead.
Uh, Hi, my name is Steve. I'm a software developer. And then I'm referring back to the slides with the myths and realities that we talked about. And then you did mention that AI is not always about data science and algorithms. But at the same time, we also talked about the data privacy and security. So in order for a company to utilize AI agents in their system and move forward into production, in order to protect their data, ideally they should contain the data within the company themselves instead of, using like external APIs and just feeding it directly into ChatGPT. And when that happens, I am sort of picturing that as a way to fine tune and train a model within the company. And in my mind, that requires quite a lot of data science and algorithmic work. Would you say that not really so? Or for that specific case, would you say that we do need a data science
Yeah.
there?
So what I was trying to say is that I am with you that data and software development are table stakes.
Mm,
Now, if I look at, companies where you are going to make 80% of productivity in quality control in a plant, for example, you want the data to be right, you want the algorithm to be right, you want the programs to be right, the tools to be right to be able to guide the people who are going to, go through 80% of a productivity effort. But to do that, you need